psychic. She's a healer in various modalities and much more. And she's proprietor of Lady of the Lake Metaphysical Center in Fredonia, New York. And right now, she's in Florida working on one of her books because she's an author. And she agreed to come on tonight and help us out a little bit. One of the things.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, listen, we're excited to have you. We are really excited to have you. We are, so excited. So, one of the things that Patty has agreed to talk about tonight, because she has a very extensive resume, but one of the things that she has agreed to talk about is grounding. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit ahead of time to give a little bit of the research. And I took notes, Patty, so you don't have to worry about if I go to Australia or China before I get to the point. Because I took notes to make sure I follow a thought. Because everybody who knows me knows that I'll just go.
It's your show.
I'll just like run with it and go somewhere else. But the person that worked on cable TV, and his name was Ober. He applied the same technology that is applied to grounding, okay? And he took the applied technology for electricity grounding, and he applied it to the human body. And so a lot of our universities and scholars have taken that step further, and science has proven that what you're going to talk about tonight is actually reality. And the world is made up of electrical and magnetic fields or currents, which we know, and one of them is electromagnetic fields in our bodies. And we are endlessly emitting vibrational signals, and we're also receiving them. And we're at a point, I think, in time where everybody could really benefit from a little bit of grounding of what's going on in the world today. And as we give it out, we also receive. And one of the things is that if we go outside and we touch the earth, we can become regenerized. And a Dr. Stephen Sinatra did extensive research on this. And Patty's going to talk about crystals and elements that come from where? The earth. And it's going to be really important for us to pay attention.
It's not just the earth, Virginia. It's more than just that. When the typical medium or healer tells somebody that they need to ground, the first thing that they tell you to do is take your shoes off, go walk outside barefoot. But it's much, much more than that. We can actually ground ourselves using the 4 elements, which is fire, earth, air, water.
I use water.
Yes. One of my favorites, Lady of the Lake. Gotta say, water is my favorite. All right. And the beautiful part of that is, and not a lot of people realize that a lot of people say, I have trouble grounding myself. The earth has also given us beautiful crystals and gemstones. And each one of those stones or crystals is associated with one of the 4 elements. So if someone has trouble grounding, if they come to me and say, I have trouble grounding, then I go through the different elements with them. What do you resonate with more? Some of my students, when we sit in circles, some of them resonate with fire. Some of them resonate with water. Some of them resonate with earth, air. So what I do is I incorporate a gemstone with each one of those elements. So if you hold that stone while you're trying to ground yourself, that's going to help facilitate a better grounding. So for example, fire. You can use carnelian, you can use jasper, you can use citrine. These are your basic stones that you can find in any metaphysical shop. It'd be nice if you came to Lady of the Lake. We're fully stocked.
Right, exactly. In Fredonia.
In Fredonia, 52 West Main Street. The earth element. Excellent. Most people go to earth. You can use amethyst, garnet, tourmaline. I love moss agate. Air, also very good. Lapis, fluorite, calcite, all excellent stones. Water, orca agate is my favorite. Orca, the ocean, the water. But you can also use moonstone, aquamarine, ocean jasper. And if you really want to get into your grounding, you could use two, one in each hand. Say you're standing on the edge of the water at the lake. You go down to Lake Erie. You could have a earth stone in one hand and a water stone in the other, and you're gonna get double whammy. So
I love
it's
it.
nice.
I love it. Now I have one quick question that
Sure.
I know our listeners are going to want to know. Is it really necessary to go buy these big, huge pieces of stones? Can we just buy a stone that we can put in our hands?
Yes, yes. Tumbles are fine to use. Some people prefer palm stones when they're doing grounding, and they're exactly that. They fit right in the palm of your hand. Okay. And but you don't have to go out and buy all those, spend tons and tons of money. You can just go out and get a tumble.
And those are those little stones that you buy.
They're about the size of a walnut.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then, like I said, the palm stones fit right in the palm of your hand, hence the name. So don't go out and spend tons and tons of money. I know a lot of people have a little sachet and they keep their favorite stones that they resonate with right in their sachet, and they carry it around with them all the time. I know I have one in my purse. I think all of us do. And we just pull them out when we need them.
I've been wearing quartz around my neck, keeping it close to my chest lately. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
A
yeah.
big thing now are the bracelets. A lot of people go with the bracelets.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have these beautiful crochet. They're cages, but they're little like crochet baskets, and a necklace. And people put their stones in there. They're beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, when people buy a stone, what should they do when they get home?
Okay, well, when they get home, no, Virginia.
Oh, before they get home.
Any, yes,
Really? Oh,
any
this is good.
This is good. This is good. Okay.
This is
So,
important
and
information.
I pride myself on this. What people don't realize is gemstones hold energy. They hold the energy of each person that touches that stone. It absorbs that person's energy. Okay. So when you go to these big venues or psychic fairs or gemstone shows, you've got hundreds and hundreds of people touching each stone, because it is important for you to actually feel which one resonates to you. Gemstones actually really call out to you, pick me, pick me. And if you go back to the definition of that stone, the healing property, you're going to be like, oh, that's what's really going on in my life right now. I guess I do need this stone, or I do need to work on this. So stones actually choose us also. And so going back to these stones holding people's energies, when you, and it's funny, I'm going to say purchase, stones can never really be purchased. They belong to the earth. Okay. They can
Good
never be
point.
truly,
Good
they can
point.
never be truly owned, Virginia.
Good
Okay.
point. Good point. Thank you for correcting me.
So, yeah. So when you go to a shop or a show, that person selling you that stone needs to cleanse it before it even goes home with you.
No one does that except you.
We do. I was
Right,
going to say we do.
so I said, except you, except you.
Mhm.
No one
And
does
any
that.
Yep, any reputable shop should do it. It really makes me sad when I go to these big venues and I'm reading and I see tons of gemstone dealers out there and they're just handing out stones. Well, 500 people have touched that stone, and you're taking that stone home with 500 people's different energies into it. What that actually does is it depletes the healing properties and energies of that stone. And it may not, it'll feel weak, it'll feel tired. So it needs to be cleansed before it even goes home with you. Now, if that person doesn't cleanse the stone, when you get home, immediately cleanse it.
Now, can you give people some tips on how to cleanse it? Because there's different ways to do it. What would you recommend,
Yes.
Patty?
My favorite, I have two favorites. My all-time go-to is selenite. Selenite is another stone, but it is so powerful that it cleanses the stone. So all you need to do is get a piece of selenite and lay your stones on top of there. Okay. That'll automatically cleanse it. My second favorite is I love to use Palo Santo. Palo Santo is a holy wood that comes from South America. And so I get a wicker basket and I light the Palo Santo and I let the smoke come up through the basket and encase the
Clever,
stones.
clever.
Yes, yeah, especially if you do buy the bigger pieces, the spheres, the towers, it's easier for you to get all of it with the smoke. Another way to do it is in the moonlight. Put it in your windowsill in the moonlight. Now, a lot of people there's some arguments here about sunshine. Do not put your stones in the sun. Some will fracture.
Really?
I remember I was reading at the Earth Spirit Expo, and I had this big, huge, beautiful garnet sphere, but it was raw. And we were reading outside under the tent. I had it on my front table.
Like we do. Yeah.
The sun shifted throughout the day. Didn't give two thoughts about it. When I went to pick up that sphere, it shattered into a million pieces.
Wow.
Because the sun fractured it. Okay. Another thing is water.
I never knew that. And water will disintegrate selenite.
Yes, yes. Selenite, kyanite, calcite. Those should
Calcite
not
too?
be. Yes.
Wow.
Calcite is a very soft stone. Anything with a druzy in it should not be put into water.
This is important information because a lot of people recommend that you use salt water and do all this other stuff and run the water. I was reading an article where somebody was saying run the water and for a long period of time, and I thought to myself, well, if you use selenite, you're not going to have any selenite left. But I didn't know about these other stones. See, this is why we're having this conversation.
Here's the secret, Virginia. Selenite doesn't need to be cleansed.
This is true. This is
okay.
True.
So people say, well, how do you know when selenite is done? Okay, selenite will actually turn color.
Really?
Selenite absorbs negative energy. It repels negative energy. It cleanses stones. It's anti-anxiety. Okay. So when selenite starts to get tired, it'll turn a light brown, then a darker brown. It'll even turn dark gray or even black. Okay. When that happens, your selenite is done. Okay. And people say to me all the time, oh, I broke my stone, or my selenite is exhausted. What do I do now? You bury it.
I was going to just
You
ask you about burying stones because I've read that too about burying them.
Yeah, any stone that breaks or fractures or is tired, like the selenite, you give it back to Mother Earth. So you go out, find your favorite tree and bury it. You thank it for helping you for the time, and you give it back to Mother Earth.
So,
Now,
so you give it back to Mother Earth. You don't bury it to charge it because I've read that you should bury it to charge it too.
okay, so you can run the risk of losing it. Okay, I've known a lot of people that go out in their yard, bury them, and then they can't find them again. So
I can see that happening.
there is a quickie way of doing it in the dirt. Put it in your potted plants in your house.
Oh, clever.
Potting soil.
I never would have
in
thought
your
of that.
Yep. You can use your potted plants in your house to bury them.
And so how long would you keep them in the soil?
I would suggest probably overnight. It's gonna take longer. It's gonna take longer.
So
Some people also use sage to cleanse their stones, and
Yes.
that's okay too. I know I don't like the smell of sage. It gives me a headache.
does it really?
And people are very sensitive to the smell of sage. And some people love it. So you can use the sage like you would the Palo Santo smoke, put them in a basket and sage them too. That's also effective.
So now, so let's say someone was going to use water to ground themselves. So they would. So let's say they go to the beach, and they stand in the water, and they got their stones. And so, how long would you recommend that they stand in the water?
I call it the sigh.
The sigh.
The sigh. You stand there until you take the biggest sigh of relaxation. Then you know you're done.
Then you know you're done, right? Well, so there's like a structure and there's an idea of like spending more time in nature because, now like Stephen Sinatra has, his research says that we just need to spend more time in nature, which of course we do because there's such a thing as forest bathing, whatever. That's all been proven by the Japanese and whatever. But you're actually saying that it's up to the individual how long they use these elements to heal.
Everybody is different.
Right. Everybody's different. And one person might want water and the other person might want fire. Somebody might want to sit around a fire and stare into the fire to help them.
Yes. I do something quite different. Well, we live in Western New York. We could have 6 feet of snow or torrential downpours, or it's sunny. You never know what the weather's going to be. In my mediumship developmental circles, instead of the circle starts, I do a grounding / meditation. And this is something that I teach you to do to ground right in the comforts of your own home.
Right.
And it's all visual. It's visual and audio.
Right.
So,
and those grounding meditations work. You actually use your imagination to ground yourself, and science has proven that they work. So what you're talking about is scientific here.
Exactly. I'll give you an example if I may.
Go right, please.
So we'll do fire. Okay. What I do is everybody's got YouTube on their phone, their electronics. I punch in campfire sounds. Okay. And I pass out a gemstone associated with fire. Last week we used jasper. So everybody's holding their jasper, and we quiet our minds. Our feet are on the ground. We're listening to the sounds of a campfire. And what I tell them to do is take a deep breath in, and whatever's weighing heavy on your mind, whatever needs healed at that point in time in your life, take a deep breath in. And I want you to blow it out into the fire. Watch the smoke take it away, carry it away. And you ask Mother Earth, Father Sky, take this away from me and heal it. And it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
And then when your mental list is done, you just sit there quiet and listen to that campfire.
Right. And, and people are actually releasing their emotions, their stressors, and whatever right into the universe or to the supreme being of their understanding. Or to, like, as you said, father, son, mother, whatever, whatever they want to believe in. That's or not believe in anything. That's wonderful. This is like very, very, very wonderful. And it works. That and science and Stephen Sinatra has proven it. That's one of the researchers that I know of.
And after you're done with that list and your mind is quiet and you're relaxed, that also gives your spirit guides a chance to come in and visit you and talk to you and guide you while you're in that relaxed meditative state. They come in and give you some helping hands and tips, and it's
right.
So you're multitasking all at the same time.
Right. And Ober would say that we would be receiving messages through our magnetic field. That's what he would believe. That's what he would believe, with this
Absolutely.
with these meditations. So that's really fabulous. That is, and you offer this at Lady of the Lake, right here in Buffalo's backyard, Fredonia, New York. Who knew? Now everybody knows.
Yeah. Right. We're at 52 West Main Street. I teach several classes. We do the mediumship developmental circles. I just did a class last week on grounding with the elements, and we did all 4 elements, and I walked everybody through the association with the stones and how to use them for grounding. A lot of classes going on there. Look us up on Facebook. I also have guest speakers come in, guest readers.
You have a lot of people coming from different states, even coming. I've noticed.
Yeah,
I've noticed that. Right before the show, I was checking you out. I was like, "Look at this! She's got Sarah Sachs coming. She's got all kinds of people coming from all over."
Absolutely. Yep, we're a little hidden gem.
Really,
on the west side.
Really, and it's a nice drive to Fredonia from Buffalo.
It is, and it's not that hard. It's not that hard of a drive. 40 minutes and you're there. Boom.
Right, and it's all just one way.
Yep.
Just one way.
Get on the 90 and go west, young man. Right. And you're there.
Right. And another thing about this meditation is that it communicates your heart's desires as well. It can communicate to your, it puts it out there.
Right. Manifestation.
Right.
That great time to manifest.
Right.
And now is the time to start your manifestations. The veil between this world and the next has never been thinner. So our guides, our guardian angels, our loved ones, they're really coming through right now and pushing us to say, hey, it can be better. We promise.
Right. And words have energy. So you can
Absolutely.
so say it out loud what you want, right? Say it out loud.
Mhm.
Say it out loud. It's the same thing with mantras, like you can
Put it out
use
there
mantras.
into the universe. Yeah,
That is really
absolutely.
that is really good. Now, I have always thought of the earth, well, not always. I shouldn't say always. I'm 67 years old, but I tend to look at the earth as a recharging station. Like when I was a little girl, I learned that the forest was my friend. And so people are saying to go out in nature. Fredonia is a rural area that is surrounded by rural area. Like you can pull over to the side of the road, you can walk around, and on the
We're five
grass.
minutes from the beach. Yep, we're 5 minutes from the beach at Lake Erie. There's Point Gratiot. We've got it all.
Yeah. Now, what can you say about spirit guides? Do my question is, does everybody have spirit guides? This is these are questions I get all the time. So,
Yeah. I love talking about guides because that's actually what I'm writing my book on. So
stay tuned for the
Virginia,
book.
yes, yes. Um, so what people don't realize, no matter what they believe in, whomever their higher power is, it's okay. Spirit gifts us a set of spirit guides the very second that we're born. And there just so happens to be seven. And we each have seven guides. Okay. And each one is in charge of a certain category in our life. All right. And these guides used to live on the earth plane before. They come from the 1300s, 1400s, 1500s. Okay. And they all walks of life they've come from. They chose you. Okay. And you don't share them with anybody. They're yours and yours alone. They're your own private army.
Selfish.
Okay. Yeah. They stay with you from birth to transition. They're always around 24/7. Okay. Now, a lot of people will say to me, well, there's actually three sets. You have your spirit guides here, and then above them are guardian angels. Guardian angels are from heaven. Okay, they've never lived on the earth plane. I call them your spirit guide supervisors.
I love
They
it.
come down and supervise your spirit guides when times of strife, tragedy, accidents. They come down for backup. All right. Now, if I'm doing a reading with somebody and someone says, "No, Patty, I know my grandmother's my spirit guide," they have their own category. Loved ones that choose, because we have free will on the other side, loved ones that choose to stay back and help out are called helper guides.
Helper guides.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have this whole army of help just for little old us. And the secret is there's no secret. They're always there. You just have to learn how they communicate with you.
And you teach workshops in that too. And you are you are skilled at tapping into people's spirits guides and giving the messages from their spirits guides. That is one of the things you are well known for.
Yes, yes. That's what my readings entail is I connect up with people's spirit guides and I give them messages about what's going on right now, what's to come in the future. If any loved ones wish to step forward and give any messages, I invite them in to do so. We can't force them to because they have
Right.
free will on the other side,
Right.
but I do extend the invitation. And then sometimes I'll incorporate oracle cards with my readings too, which are totally different than tarot. It's funny, my students that when I teach them how to use oracle cards, I take their books. I'm like, no using the books. I teach them how to tune into spirit and listen the spirit read that card.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well,
So we
but
have
that's really important. That
it
that
is.
that that is really important. And And your intuition will help you in your life if you listen to it.
Absolutely.
But you got to pay attention. We have all had the experience where I knew that was going to happen. Why didn't I listen to myself? That's your intuition, or that could be your spirit guide. That could be a message from heaven.
Right.
It could be somebody trying to tell you something, and you don't pay attention.
Right. And it's funny, I always say, always listen to your gut. Your
Right.
gut is are your guides. Okay.
Right.
So people laugh at me. I said, I call it the Gigi. Always listen to the Gigi.
The
Your
Gigi.
gut is your guides. The G and the G. Always listen to the Gigi. Okay. That little voice in the back of your head, and just like you said, you're right, Virginia. People say, I knew I shouldn't have done that. And then all of a sudden it blows up in their face. I knew I shouldn't have done it. And you didn't listen to your Gigi. You didn't listen to that voice in the back of your head. Those are your guides 100% of the time.
And sometimes your guides will send you messages physically. Like you will get a physical sensation. Like like the hair going up on the back of your neck.
Yeah, that's how they validate. And spirits are very good at manipulating electronics too.
Yes.
So you could be putting a question out there, and all of a sudden you'll get a pop-up on your phone, or a commercial shows up on the TV of exactly what you were thinking about. Those are your guides answering you.
Right.
Well, they'll find any way to get you that answer.
I remember one time somebody was sitting at my dining room table, and at the bottom of my stairs I have this lamp, right? And I went upstairs, and my lamp at the bottom of the stairs started flickering, which would flicker at this period of time. It would flicker all the time. It hasn't flickered in a couple years now, but at this time it was flickering all the time. And I would just say to myself, oh, that's Polly, right? Because I knew who it was, and he was just trying to get my attention. So this person is sitting at my dining room table, and I come down the stairs from being upstairs, and he says to me, you really should get your lamp checked out. There's something really wrong with it, because it's like, it's really noticeable, right? So I go, oh, that's just Polly, right? this person looked at me and went, what? And I said, oh, I'm sorry, you don't understand. I said, that's my friend Polly, and he's just saying hello, and and when he was done using that lamp, it stopped. I never got the lamp fixed. I never took it in like this person suggested. He just found another way to communicate, and he didn't feel the need to do that thing with the lamp. And
they will find any way to communicate with you.
And some people think that male spirits will go and resonate with the technology and the electricity more so than female spirits, and I don't know about that, but I have heard that it's usually men that do that. But who knows for sure?
Who's to say? We won't find out until to the other side.
Right.
But a funny story is I had this girl. Fredonia is a college town, and I had this young lady. She came running into my shop. She's like, I need a stone to help me pass calculus.
I love it.
And I thought, honey, you don't need a stone. I said, you need to talk to your teacher guide. Okay?
Right. There you go.
So I gave her the quick 5-minute rundown. 2 weeks later, she comes back into my shop and she goes, I had to come in and tell you, it works. No. She said, I was walking in and out of the student union. She said, now I've walked in and out of that door 4 or 5 times a day. She said, something made me stop and read this flyer next to the door. And the flyer said, study group for Calculus 1, Tuesdays and Thursday nights at 7 p.m. I said, honey, something didn't make you stop and read that flyer. Someone made you stop and read that flyer.
Someone.
That was your teacher guide. And she said, oh my God, it really works, doesn't it? Yes, it does.
Right,
Yes, it does.
right. And when we pay attention, our lives can go about at a much easier flow.
Absolutely. But I do want to say this. If it's something really, really important and we're missing it, admit it, Virginia. We get wrapped up in our day-to-day
Right,
lives.
we
You know,
do.
earthly things are going on. It's crazy. And our guides are trying to contact us, and we're just not catching it. Okay. They're still going to find a way. So, what they're going to do is they're going to come to us in our dreams. They're going to be like, she's sleeping. I'm going to get her when her mind's at rest. And that's when we start dreaming vividly. So
Right.
I tell people, keep a journal
Next to the
next
bed. Next to the bed.
because journal what if it's a smell, a taste, a scene, a sentence, what a word, even colors, just
Right.
write it down.
Right.
And then don't read it every day. Just journal for a couple nights. Then go back. You're
Especially if you
gonna be
wake
able
up
to
in the
put
middle of the night. Especially if you wake up in the middle of the night to
absolutely.
use the bathroom. Write down first.
Yep.
Write down
Mm-hmm.
first.
Write it down.
Absolutely.
Write it down.
You
Or
know,
take your pad to the bathroom with you and jot it down.
right.
You
Because
will
as much
forget.
as we will forget, as much as we say, oh, I'll remember that the next day, we don't remember it the next day.
You don't, because I remember about 6 months ago, my father came to me in a dream, and I'd been waiting for him to come to me. And I sat up in bed, and I had a puzzle book next to on my nightstand. I grabbed it and I just started scribbling stuff down. I went back to sleep. Next morning I woke up and I read what I wrote, and I was like, I didn't remember that until I read what I wrote. And I was like, oh my gosh, it would have left me.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so you're writing a book about spirits guides, but I know that you're writing a book about something else as well.
Virginia.
And this is one of my favorite topics because I've done cleanup work like you have, and it's really
Yeah,
heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, and
it is.
you know,
It
so,
needs to be done. It needs to be said. It needs to be put out there. It's going to ruffle a lot of feathers. But I'm okay with that. Um, and what Virginia you're talking about is I'm writing a book on the code of ethics of mediumship. And
so needed, so
it's
needed.
not just mediumship either.
Right,
It's it's anybody that's out there giving messages to people. And there's so many things going wrong right now with that. Um, you know, People when they go out to get a reading, they should really ask that person's experience. Who did they train under? Where did they train? Um, how long have they been doing it? Because you have the trained, I call it, versus the self-proclaimed.
hmm
Okay. And people don't realize that the person sitting across from them is hanging on every word that comes out of your mouth. And they're looking to you for guidance, closure, hope, comfort.
right. You literally have their heart in your hand. You really
Yeah,
do. You really
absolutely.
do.
And you can change the trajectory of that person's life just by your words. And it can be harmful. It can be very, very harmful. Um, it's it's going to be a long book because lately, just like you said, Virginia, you've been doing it too. I've had a lot of people coming to me for readings that are scared, terrified, um, upset, crying, because they got a reading from somebody that was just horrific, and you have to put them back at ease again.
Right, right. And I told you the story about the most upsetting experience I had with that. It was very upsetting to me because a child, a 16-year-old,
Yeah.
was taken advantage of, and was terrified. And what happened was, I was approached by an adult, 21 years old, who told me she had a young friend who had been told by someone that they
Mm-hmm.
had a demon attached to them. And this poor child, because you're 16 years old, you're a child. This poor child was losing sleep and whatever. And I usually do not give readings to anybody under the age of 18 unless there's a parent, an aunt, somebody,
Yes.
there that brings them to me. So I broke my rule and I said I would see her. And the 21-year-old wanted to pay me. And I was so upset about it because I used to work with youth on the Lower West Side of Buffalo. I had a free
Mm-hmm.
arts and lifestyle change program. I mean, so that's where my heart was. So I refused any type of compensation. And and I literally spent time fixing what somebody had done to a child, terrified this child that this child had a demon attached to them. And it took me some time to convince them, but I finally did. That they did not have a demon attached to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, and we could go on and on and on about stories, but that was the most heartbreaking story I ever saw. It was like, really? Somebody did
Right.
this to a child just to get money? Really?
That seems to be the trend right now.
Really?
Is a lot of people are coming in and saying, so and so, I went and had a reading done, and so told me I had a negative attachment, and then all these things started going wrong. Okay, let's break that down. First of all, I believe that it's 1 in a million that you have a negative attachment. Okay. Secondly, they've planted that seed in your brain. So now every little thing that goes on, the light bulb burns out. Oh my gosh, it's the bad spirit. The toilet overflows. Oh my God, it's the bad spirit. We're going to manifest that.
Right.
Okay.
When you think positive things happen, my mother always
Right.
told me.
Right. So then it turns into, and this seems to be the going number, $400. For $400, I can get rid of that negative attachment for you. I don't know where these people are coming up with $400, but apparently you can get rid of a negative attachment for $400. So it's just their way of instilling fear into somebody to make money off of them.
Fear can be a motivating factor.
Yeah. It's so unethical. I want to, if I may, can I talk about negative attachment for a second?
Yeah, sure. Go right ahead.
Okay. So what people don't realize is when spirits are in the spirit world, they recognize people that are sensitive to their world and their vibration. Okay. And I love to use the movie Ghost as a good example, where Patrick Swayze was trying to move the cup and his finger kept going into the cup and going through it. And the other ghost was telling him, you've got to concentrate your energy, okay, to move the cup. So a lot of times these spirits are scared, they're confused, they don't know that they've passed. You just moved into a new house and someone and the spirit there's like, were these people in my house? Okay. But they know that they can get your attention. So a tap of who are you turns into a big poke because they don't know how to focus their energy yet. Okay. They're not, they're confused, they're lost. So a lot of this can be fixed by you telling them, do you know that you've passed on to the other side? Do you know that your family and loved ones are waiting for you? and these ghost hunters, oh, I made them cross over. No, you can't make people cross over. They have free will. Let's throw that out on the table right now. Okay. You encourage them to cross over, to go into the light, to be with their family and friends. Okay. Negative attachments get blown up.
You're right.
Okay. They're for effect.
You're right. My mother used to have a relative that used to play practical jokes on her. So when I was little, she had these chairs, and back in the day, I'm 67. Back in the day, they had like little aprons that went to the floor around the bottom of the chairs.
Mm-hmm.
And periodically, the bottom of the chairs would get wet. And my mother would laugh and say, "Well, that's Aunt Lucy." That wasn't her name, but we're just going to say it. That's Aunt Lucy playing a practical joke. So now my grandmother would get all very concerned about all this, and my mother thought it was funny, and she would just laugh and go, "Oh, it's just played practical jokes." And there was other things that would go on too, but my grandmother was very upset about these chairs because they actually got wet. So the one day my mother says to me, "Your grandmother is insisting that I throw away these chairs. I'm not throwing away these chairs. Put them up in the attic, but don't tell your grandmother, and we're getting new chairs."
Mm-hmm.
So as a young child, I carried the chairs, my girlfriend and I, we carried the chairs up in the attic, and I told my girlfriend about the chairs getting wet, and she didn't believe me. And so the one day I said, "Come on, let's go up in the attic and see if the bottom of the chairs
are wet."
And they were wet. And my mother was convinced that it was this, aunt, this great aunt of hers, that was playing, these practical jokes on her.
The practical jokes.
And my mother used to say that sometimes spirits would get lost, that they didn't know that it was time for them to go, and they just didn't understand, or they didn't want to go.
Right. Well, that's a very good point, because
free will, like her great aunt, didn't want to go. She was having fun torturing my grandmother.
Right. I have a student in Clearwater, Florida, and it goes along with the same story. She moved into a new place, and there was a married couple of like 60 years there. My memory's not that great. I'm going to say right around 60 years. And he passed away. Then they moved her into a home. Okay, she's in a nursing facility. So my student moved into their home, and so he hangs out there, and he's waiting for her to pass. Okay, they live very cohesively together. She's like, "I don't mind if you stay here, just don't mess with my stuff and don't scare the crap out of me." They have a great relationship. He leaves her alone. He can stay there, and he's just waiting for his wife to pass, so they can go over together.
Right. Didn't want to go.
No,
was going to wait.
Was going to wait. They're going to wait.
Yeah. Gonna wait. And and as you said, spirits have free will just like we have free will.
Yep. Absolutely.
So I have a friend of mine, her husband is seeing numbers, and it's
angel numbers, yeah.
And it's like really, like blowing his mind. Mm-hmm. And he's really he is coming to understand that people, on the other side are trying to communicate with him because he cannot deny seeing these numbers all the time. And they're always the same numbers.
Correct.
Very interesting.
They'll get it. They'll do anything that they can to get that message through to you. They really will. They really will. And that's something else too that people, going back just to your last statement, people have to realize that when we are reading them, you know, we can't force a spirit to come through to give a message.
That's so
I
important.
had
It's so important to people to
Yeah, I had
understand.
this woman, she wanted to talk to her father, and she was visibly upset, and she said, I want to talk to my dad. And I could see him, and he was like this. Nope. And I said, I'm sorry, he's not stepping forward for you today. And she slammed her fist down on the table, and she
Oh,
said, I want to know why he wrote me out of the will.
whoa.
No wonder he didn't want to step forward. We can't force them to come through and give messages.
No, we can't. And that's something that people sometimes don't understand. But I believe that there's more chance of it happening if you're open. Before
Absolutely.
before you come to the reading, if you say to them, you speak to them and say, please come, when I'm going to go see this medium and whatever, and be open to it, then it's more open. Then it's more likely to happen that you'll get the spirit you want. But there's no guarantees, and we can't.
And what people don't realize too, Virginia, is when you go into a reading and you're paying for that medium service, you know, don't go into the reading like this.
And
I don't
I don't
I
believe
don't
you.
know. You tell me. I don't know. You tell me. And I tell people, mind reader is not on my sign. Okay. So they have to be open themselves. They put up
Yes.
walls, they put up barriers. That's their own fault. That's on them. Because if they're not open to receive the message and they're going to sit there and test you, the reading's not
Well,
going
you
to
know,
happen.
well, I, Patty, I remember once I was working a party, and I told this woman, I said, you paid for 20 minutes. So if you want to
Mhm.
spend 20 minutes making me prove to you that I'm doing what I'm doing and
Yep.
and giving me a hard time, we can do that. And that's
Yeah.
just how I put the cards on the table. We can do that because I know how to do that. I know how to roll with the best of them. I said, but I
Yep.
would much rather be open and loving and kind and let it flow.
Yeah. Yes.
And she looked
And
at me, and she was like, huh, really? I go, yeah. I mean, stop,
Mhm.
with this attitude. Prove it
Right.
to me. Prove it to me. I want the code word.
Yeah, I know. I know. That's what's the one thing that only my father would say to me. I don't know.
Well, I remember one time.
Wants to share. If that was just between the two of you, what makes you think he's going to tell me? If it was just between the two of you, he's not going to tell me, you know? But it's funny because what people don't realize too is when you're at a venue, like say I'm at the Earth Spirit Expo, and which is a great show that Tracy Bissonette puts on. You're doing 15-minute readings back to back to back. And, you have somebody that sits down and you've got 15 minutes to read that person. Now, I'm not one to set a timer. If you've got a good gatekeeper, okay, they'll keep you on track. And not to mention the fact that I think it's rude to spirit to set that timer, okay? Because I'm not going to be in the middle of a message and say, oh, time's up. Sorry, if you want to pay another $50, I'll continue the message from your mother. I don't do that.
Right.
So my dad will be like, okay, come on, you can wrap it up. But what's good is if I'm having difficulty with the reading and I'm not, this person's giving me a hard time, got the walls up. My dad will say, all right, wrap it up. This one's playing with you.
Right, exactly, exactly. Now we only have exactly that does happen. They just say cut it loose, cut it loose. But
Yep.
we only have 4 minutes left. It's been
Okay.
it's been delightful, Patty. It's been delightful, and I do know.
It's been my pleasure, Virginia. It's been my pleasure.
And I do know that people we're going to have you back because people like to call in with their, and ask the
Sure.
medium. That is really a fun time for people. So we hope you'll come back and do that with us sometime.
Absolutely.
And we hope that you enjoy your time in Florida, even though you're teaching a class in Florida, I understand.
I am. I'm
The
teaching on
international medium
Saturday.
that she is, she's just, she's in Florida teaching,
I was coming down specifically to write my book and get, concentrate and work in the sunshine, of course. And I said, you know what, as long as I'm down here, I might as well teach it. So I'm teaching a beginner's mediumship class
Beautiful,
on
beautiful,
Saturday.
beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. That is,
Because I don't get down here as much as I like. So.
those classes are so much fun because they're so eager and filled with wonder, aren't they? Regardless of
They
their
are.
age, those beginner classes are really a lot of fun. I know
Mm-hmm.
that's one of my favorite classes to teach because they're so eager to know all this stuff, and they bring such interesting stories that they want clarification on. Really,
Yes.
really.
And they bring great energy in too.
Yeah. Now, where can
They-
people find you? Because now we only have 3 minutes left. So where can people
Okay,
find you?
so my shop is Lady of the Lake. It's at 52 West Main Street in Fredonia. I also have 2 Facebook pages. One is International Medium, the Lady of the Lake, Patty Valentine. That's where you'll find out where I'm reading, where I'm teaching, and the ongoings. And or you can reach me via my Facebook page, Lady of the Lake. And that's where I post everything about the shop.
And you have a phone number. I'm going to give him your phone number, okay?
Please give him my phone number.
It's 716-708-9507. 716-708-9507. So, yes.
Yes, you can text me or call me. Just don't call me in the middle of the night, please. And you can text me or call me and set up a phone reading, a house party, a personal reading in the shop, and anything.
Well, thank you
Sure.
so much.
I
Thank
am
you so much.
a humble servant of spirit.
Thank you so
So-
much, Patty. And I know that you helped a lot of people with those grounding information about the 4 elements and the grounding. I know that we really helped a lot of people tonight with this information because it's so needed, especially during this particular time in history. I find a lot of people are very scattered, very fearful, very uncertain of what's going on in the world, and we really need to ground more often.
A
So
lot of fear is going around right now with the unrest in the country, and we just need to keep our feet on the ground.
Yep. Okay. Well, I'm going to let you go. Now, I heard you say you'll come back, so I'm going to hold you
Yes.
to it. I'm going to hold you to it, Patty. You're going to come back,
I will.
and good luck with the book. I know it's going to be fabulous. Both of them are going to be fabulous. As the one with the spirit guides and the one with the ethics. Because we all need a little bit more love and integrity to go.
Well, maybe
together.
I need to interview you for my book.
That would be fine. Please do. I'd be more than happy
Yes.
to. But you're going to have to
Yes.
keep me focused because I go. All right, we only have 15 seconds, so I'm going to let you go. So thank you, Patty Valentine. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
For having me.
Good night. Good night.